Hi, I'm Dennis Rodkin. I write the Deal Estate column for Chicago Magazine, and this is DEQs, where I answer readers' real estate questions. Stephanie in the South Loop asks, I bought a middle unit during the heyday when everything was selling, and now I need to sell, but I bought in a building that has hardly any insulation against sound. You can hear the people upstairs just walking. Any tips for fixing that? Ouch. Ceiling noise is so hard to get rid of. When you've got wall noise, when you have noises from next door, there are a lot of things you can do from inexpensive to very expensive. Inexpensively, you can do things like use fabric wall coverings and fabric art to absorb some of the noise. You can also plug any gaps you find in the walls, that sort of thing. Or go to the higher level and add a whole new layer of drywall with insulation behind it and block an awful lot of that noise. But impact noise from above, like footfalls, that's very hard to cover. There are some solutions, they're all costly. If your ceiling has insulation space, the first thing to do is see if it can take more insulation. Another step in the process is you seal any openings around the vents or the wall seams, anywhere that noise might be coming through. But the primary problem is the overall ceiling. You can install a new ceiling layer. You can use drywall, acoustical tile, depending on the type of ceiling. It's going to be very expensive. And it's also more effective, as I said, at blocking noise from the side than from above. One of the hardest things to do is to get rid of footsteps, especially the sound of footsteps in high-heeled shoes. Even white noise, a tabletop fountain, the kind of thing that you can use to block side-moving noise, doesn't really block out the high-heeled shoes. So what can you do? The first thing is what you are doing. You are assuming that buyers will be more finicky now. There's much more on the market, and people are more likely to expect to be in the home for a long time, so they're very likely to take the purchase more seriously than they would have a few years ago. So a couple of things you can do. One is realize that there are some flaws in a property that just can't be changed. Another is to consider specifying in your listing that your lower price takes into account the noise problem. That's very hard to do because you don't want to point out something that people wouldn't have otherwise noticed. So you need to work with your agent about a diplomatic way to say so, or your agent might hold that in the vest pocket as something to pull out during negotiations. Well, our price is what it is in part because of the noise. Another thing you can do is when the property is being shown, your agent can play classical music or something very light and airy that creates a sound environment that might distract from the sound of the footfalls. And then the last thing you can do is you can hope that potential buyers come along who don't mind all the noise. Maybe you find people who used to live next to the L and they don't think the noise in your apartment is any big deal. Thanks for your question. Send me more at dennis@rodkin.com.